Hello and welcome to this video tutorial. Today we're looking at a range of selection tools available to you in Adobe Illustrator. We're going to start with the basics, which are the selection tool and the direct selection tool. The selection tool is up here. It's the black arrow tool and its shortcut key is the letter V. Selecting an object is as easy as just selecting over it with this tool. Now, if you capture a little bit of another object, then you're going to select it as well, because this tool, even if you just select over the very corner of something, if it's inside a group or if it's a larger shape, such as this one here, the entire shape is going to be selected. So it's going to select groups as well as an entire shape. So just be careful when you're selecting over things that you don't grab things that you don't expect to. There is a tool that we're going to look at in a minute that's going to make it easier to select things that are close to other things. The next tool here is the direct selection tool. This is the white arrow tool and its shortcut key is the letter A. Now it doesn't select an entire shape if you just drag over a portion of it. It's just going to select an anchor point or two anchor points. You can see here that when I drag on this, we're actually going to drag on the anchor point. Let me just undo that. Let's go and select this shape with the selection tool, and when I drag, it's very different. It's a different result. The tool that I was talking about making things easier to select when they're inside small spaces is the lasso tool. So I'm just going to select the lasso tool here. I'm going to lasso around these three shapes, and that's going to select all three of these shapes. To be 100% sure that you've got those shapes selected, you would be wise to switch now to the selection tool, which you can do by just selecting on the tool, or you could press the letter V. That's going to have the same effect. Let's go back to the lasso tool. This is one of the instances where the lasso tool is really handy. I want to select the anchor points at the point of every one of these triangles. So I'm just going to loosely select around here, and that selects all of these anchor points, not the anchor points around the edge, because they've got hollow rectangle markers. That shows that they're not selected. The ones that are filled are selected. So for example, I could use object and then path and then average, and average the path for both horizontal and vertical, and that just moves the anchor points all into the same physical location. Before we leave here, let's see a gotcha with the direct selection tool. I have it selected here. I'm just going to select over an anchor point that I know is here. Now, I haven't got the entire shape selected, so if I did something like object, transform, and then reflect, expecting to reflect this shape across the vertical or the horizontal, you'll see that it's not actually reflecting. So let's just cancel out of there. I'm going to the selection tool, which just by clicking on it now selects this entire shape. Let's try that again. This time I want to reflect it across the vertical, but you can see that's actually not working. It seems like this anchor point is still somewhat selected. So let's just cancel out of there. I'm going to click away from the shape. I'm going to reselect the shape, and let's try for a third time to get this shape to reflect. And of course this time it is going to reflect. So just be careful that if things don't appear to be working as you expect them to, if you've been using the direct selection tool, then maybe just go back and use the selection tool, but do it fresh, because if you can't get a shape to, for example, reflect the way you expect it to, there may be something wrong with the selection that you're making, and it may not be apparent from what's happening on the screen exactly what that is. Now there's also a tool hidden under here under the direct selection tool. It's called the group selection tool. This is a group of objects. So when I select over just a portion of it, you'll see that all of the objects inside this group are selected. And here it is in the layers palette. Here it is down there. It is a group of objects and they are all currently selected. This group selection tool allows you to actually select an object within a group. I'm going to click with the group selection tool on this shape here, and you can see that it is selected, but it appears as if nothing else is selected. Let's just have a look inside this group and just confirm that this set of black lines is not selected, the green leaves aren't selected, and inside this sort of subgroup here, then we have an object that is selected. Just this compound path here, not these other paths. So you can then do something with that shape, selecting it within a group. It's a very handy tool when you've got things in a group. For example, these flowers are a group, so I can just click on the center of the flower. I couldn't do that with the selection tool because as soon as I select on any part of the flower, the entire group is selected. The group selection tool is going to behave very differently. Just click away to make sure everything is deselected, and then you can select on just a portion of the group. Now, in addition to selection tools that you can use by just dragging over things, there are selection tools that select, for example, by color or by shape. I'm going to select over one of these circles, and it is a circle. Up here on the select menu is an option called Same. I'm going to come down here to Shape. And so what's going to happen is every single circle in this illustration is now selected. The circles in the middle of the flowers, these tiny little circles here, these bigger ones here, and it doesn't matter what color they are all selected. Now I can use the group selection tool to, for example, select this flower shape. So I've just got the external flower shape selected, not the middle of it. Let's just confirm that in here. You can see that this path is selected, but not the center of the flower. If I go to select and then same, you'll see that shape is not an option. So that shape selection is a little bit limited because it just recognizes regular shapes like ellipses and squares and such, but it won't actually recognize, say, a floral shape that we've created. There are also tools that allow us to select by color. So I'm just going to click on the selection tool. I'm going to select over this circle here, back to the select menu, same, and let's go down to fill color. And so now anything that is filled with this exact same color is now selected, which includes parts of the leaves of these flowers, these circles here, these circles here, these circles here, but not these. They're not the same green, and obviously other bits of these leaves and also not the same green, which begs the question, what if you want to select things that are close to this color but not exactly that color? Well, the select menu options won't work for you, but the magic wand will. Let's just click on the magic wand to select it, then we're going to double click on it to see its options. So we can opt to select the fill color, which would be the fill color on these shapes if we were trying to isolate things that are these sorts of green. And we have a tolerance, and tolerance varies from 0 to 255. A very low tolerance is going to only select things that are very, very close to the one color we're about to click on. If we increase the tolerance, then we're going to select more and more colors that are further away from that color. Now, assuming I want to select just these green things, then a tolerance of 25 is probably going to select most of these green objects, but obviously not pink or purple. If I went up to 255, then everything would be selected. So you want to be a bit discriminating here, and over time you will learn sort of what tolerance to start off with, if you like. So let's go and click on this shape here. And you can see that I've selected these dots and these dots now. So these were not the same color, but they're still being selected this time because they're close enough. They're within a fairly close range to the original green color. And you'll see that I've selected both elements in these leaves, the exact color and the non-exact color. Let me just click away and let's try this pink here. Well, you can see that the triangles and the flowers and bits of this flower and so on are all that same color. So within the magic wand tool, you've also got stroke color. So for example, we could select things that have the same stroke. These are stroked lines. So let me go back to the magic wand tool. Let me just pick up this line, and I've selected the black lines within this flower, but also this flower and also this flower. So if I wanted to change the color of them to something like red, I could do so. And you can see that just those strokes are being changed. Sometimes when you're selecting things within a document, it can be a little bit difficult to actually isolate them. Well, you can always select things from the layers panel. So for example, we could just click here once to select all of these triangles. And if we wanted to add in this object here, then I'm just going to hold down the shift key and click on the little dot here to select that as well. You can also select using select all. So if I click here and go select all, it selects absolutely everything in this document. It's the same as pressing Control or Command A. That's the select all command, if you like. Now, if you want to select everything except for a few things, you can do this. If I want to select everything on this artboard except for these roses, what I'm going to do is I'm going to lock these roses down. And then I'll just press Control or Command A. And absolutely everything in this document that is not locked down is now selected. So by simply locking things, you can stop them from being selected when you choose a Select All command. Let's relock them and let's select over all of these objects here. Well, all of those objects are selected, but the roses aren't because they've been locked down, so they can't be selected anyway. Whichever tool that you choose to use, locking them down is not going to select them. So if I choose the leaves, well, I can't actually choose the leaves here. If I click on one of these leaf shapes with the magic wand tool, I can't select it because it's locked down. If I click on this circle, well, I'm selecting all the green or nearly green circles, but not anything to do with any of these roses because they're locked down. Let's just undo one of these roses. Let's go back to this circle, and you can see that the parts of the rose here have been selectable because this rose is not locked down. None of these other roses are selectable because, again, they are locked down. So you have a range of possible selection tools available here in Adobe Illustrator. It helps to be familiar with them because sometimes one of these tools is going to work better than the others. I think it's really important to understand that you can lock things down and also that you can easily select things from the Layers panel here. Sometimes it's just the easiest way to select things is to do it through the Layers panel. And if you're familiar with that process, you might be able to get things done a little more quickly than you expected to. Now, sometimes what you're trying to do in terms of selection is to work out what's going on in a document. Let's just select over this area here because I have made some minor changes. You'll see here that there are some little dots, and what they are stray points. Now, stray points can be really difficult to find, and they can also mean that your documents get rejected by stock sites, for example, because you can't have open paths and you can't have stray points. So let's go here to the select option. Let's go down here to object, and there's an option here for selecting stray points. Let's just click on that to select it. And you'll see here that stray points inside this document have now been selected. I added these stray points in at the very top here, and all 4 of them have been selected just simply by choosing Select, Object, and Stray Points. Now, it's easy enough to delete them by just pressing the Delete key. So if you find that you have stray points or you think you might have stray points, there's another simple process for working out if you do have them, selecting them, and if necessary, getting rid of them. If you like carefully researched content like this, clearly presented in a step-by-step format so that you can get great results, then you'll love my Skillshare content. I'm a Skillshare top teacher. I have hundreds of short courses on Skillshare that you can access along with thousands of other great courses, all for the price of a single subscription. If you're interested, there's a Skillshare coupon for you in the description below to use to sign up. Using this coupon benefits me as a creator, and it helps me continue to make free content available here for you also on YouTube. Thank you for joining me for this video tutorial. On the screen now, you'll see a video that I've hand-picked for you. If you enjoyed the video you've just watched, I know that you're going to really enjoy the one I've picked for you to watch next.